So a little side note for you guys that are just getting into the billet Hemi blocks. There's a lot to learn, and it's not as easy to find information on these. It's not just like you could call someone that's, you never built a small block Chevy. Everyone's done that. But there's so many renditions of these blocks. So if you're looking for your first billet TFX block, the early ones, the TFX 92, 1992, and the TFX 96. On the cross-drilled mains, only the three centers had cross-drilled mains, if you notice. The front cap and the rear cap are absent for cross-drilled. So the rear cap and the front cap are just held in by the two studs. After 96, once they got to the TFX 98 and above, all of them had 5 cap cross-bolted mains. And so if you're looking around and somebody says, oh, I got a TFX, and this happened to me. The guy sold me what he told me was a TFX 2006. I didn't know any better. I was just getting into it. I took his word for it. Well, I got it home, and it only had three cross-bolted mains. And that was my first one. That was the one I built last year. That was going to be for the funny car, and then I got a little disgusted because it wasn't coming together fast enough, and I ended up selling it to a small tire racer, and he's running it now. But yeah. So if you're on the lookout, as you can see, I've already gathered 4 blocks all together for our arsenal of motors for our funny car. Actually, that one's got a big old gaping wound that needs to be fixed, but that's okay. We fixed all the others so far, and that's not a big deal. You can usually get them cheap like that if you want to put a little sweat equity and labor into them. But if you're getting into them, you're looking for your first one, look for one with the 5 main cross-bolted mains. Try to stay away from the real early one. So the early TFX, the first one, like I said, was in 1992. It's a full cast block. As you notice, there's not much casting left in here that's unmachined. You can see a little bit in the front, kind of like the old KB blocks that were all cast on the outside. This is pretty much 90% machined over the cast. Now the later blocks are full billets, forged billets. So, but yeah, I would probably try to stay away from the TFX 92 and at least go to the 96 and above. But just wanted to tell you that the early ones only had 3 cross-bolted mains. So anyway, back to getting these torqued in, and let's get her in the line home. Just for reference, the mains torqued to 130 foot-pounds. Side bolts torqued to 80, like any other motor. I run them down lightly with the small little 1/4-inch impact. I torque to 50, I torque to 80, I torque to 100, I torque to 130. So I bring it in 4 steps, probably at the track. I'd probably be a little faster, probably run them down the impact and do it in 2 steps to get it done. But 130 on the mains, 80 on the side bolts. Let's finish that up. I tell you, these snap-on torque wrenches, they're built for drag racers. They got a little Christmas tree on there to tell you they don't click anymore. They're digital. Look at that, like a Christmas tree. Like a Christmas tree, a starting line Christmas tree. If you go too far, it goes red. It's like a Christmas tree. That's pretty cool. Get them from your overpriced Snap-on dealer. I got the block placed up in the line hone and setting it up now. Got the big mandrel in there. These mandrels are adjustable, but they don't have much adjustment. And this is the largest one I have. It only goes up to 3 inches on the mains, and hence the size I'm looking for is that bottom number, 2-inch 943. I got it wrote down as a 440 RB, but that's the same as a 426 Hemi, and the mains on these TFX blocks are the same as a 426 Hemi and your big block Mopar. 440, 383s, 413s, 400 blocks, they're all the same size, 2-inch 943. So that's the number I want to hit. I just set up my bore mic, and we checked it out, and it's pretty close. It's within, believe it or not, our cap we made is within about 3 thousandths. right to the undersize. Just what I was looking for, along with the caps on here. So we're going to set this mandrel up. Right now, the way this mandrel works, it locks into this hand-driven drill, and it looks kind of janky, but this is how line hones work today. A brand new Sunnen CH100 is this same machine, just with some real pretty nice white paint and Sunnen decals. They run about $25,000. I can never afford one, like everything else in our career here. So I built one out of a repurpose. This was a vertical hone. That's why the poles are kind of high on the side here. There was a bar that ran across to here, and it had a honing head, a vertical head, like this one. This is a power vertical hone. This was a manual vertical hone, and I used it just for the tank. And we fabricated up the cradle to hold the blocks, and found a Sunnen driver, and added this wing on the side. And this wing, when this is hooked up, this travels back and forth. Now just run the mandrel back and forth. But right now I got to line the block up with the mandrel. This attaches. The attachment is here on my other mandrel. This is a smaller mandrel for like small block Chevys, small block Fords. This one only goes up to 2.5 inches. That one's adjustable from 2.5 to 3 inch. This one's adjustable, I believe, from like 2 inch to 2.5. So this drives the drill head. These come off right here. Actually, loosen that, and there's a set screw, and this will pop off, and then we'll put on there. But right now I got to line this up, and that's what these adjustment screws are here. I lower this down. It's like on a jack screw, and I just put my little machinist vise up there, just as I'm lowering it down, just to give me an idea if I'm straight or not. I just want to keep it straight as I can. So let me put the phone down, and I'll line my mandrel up, and we'll get the honing. Got some oil flowing, and this drips on the mandrel, and this just takes a few swipes. You got to remember, this whole block's aluminum. It's not like honing a cast iron block, so it's going to move material real fast. So a couple quick swipes, and then we'll check it, and then we'll put the mandrel back in and see if we can size it. I don't know if I'm going to be able to hold this at the same time that I can work this. Probably won't. I mean, we know how my camera skills suck. If you watched yesterday, me at the racetrack, you either get an epileptic seizure or get drunk, dizzy watching how I hold the camera. I gotta work on that. But let's see what I can do here if I go. Like keep it moving until it stops. So that's all it should take, just to size it, see where we're at. I'm gonna put this down, we get the bore mic, and see where we are. I don't know if I'll be able to hold this mic and check at the same time. Stuck in the oil hole there. All right. So we're in the third main. And right now, we've got about 1.5 thou to hone out still. Every graduation on this dial indicator is a 1/2 thou, 0.0005. So we are only about 1.5 thou the size. That little bit of swipe actually got the block straight. As far as when I first checked it, it was about 1.5 thou on the rear, 1.5 thou on number 5, 2 on the center, 3.5 on the cap we made, and 3.5 on the front cap. So doing that little swipe job we just did, brought the caps in. There's the cap we made. It's in. They brought that in. That's only about 1 thou off. So right now the block's within about 1/2 thou. I'll swipe it again. When I say swipe, run the mandrel back and forth a couple times, and I'll try to get them within about 1/2 thou. And if some work in the zero, then I'll start loosening caps. If this, like say number 3 comes up right where I want it, and the one we made is still a half thou tight, well, I don't want to take any more off that one, so I'll loosen the torque on that one. I might drop that torque down to only about 10 pounds from the 180, and then hit that cap, the rear cap, or whatever ones need to be hit. So let me go ahead and hit it again, get it a little closer, and we'll check it again. It's all slow process. Cut a little, check a little, cut a little, check a little, because these are the mains. I want these dead nuts, because you know, it's an old block, and we got to get some life out of it. We got to go. We need some 370s in the 8th mile. We need everything we can get. All right, so we come up with a little bit of a problem on the cap we made. The other 4 mains, as I'm honing them, are starting to come into size, but this cap is still a little tight. And what I don't want to do is remove material off the upper side on the block. I just want to remove material off the cap side to get this laid in straight. So checking it with my bore mic, it's probably about 8 thousandths tight to the side, to the top. So what we're going to have to do, if we had an offset boring attachment, we can go ahead and offset it and just bore the lower side, the lower cap. You know, if this was upside down, this would be the lower. But honing, I don't want to continue honing and remove material, end up with my diameters being correct, but having this hole in the wrong spot, having material removed off the bottom. So I'm gonna have to, I took the cap off, I'm gonna have to modify the cap a little bit. So what I'm gonna have to do is I'm gonna have to take the cap back over here to the Bridgeport, and I'm gonna have to remove a couple thou off the bore. And you can see, if I look up closely here, you can see where the hone was hitting about 50% of the cap, and it was missing the other side of the cap. Now this was just because, you know, we made this cap and we dialed it in the best we could, but we're still off a few thou. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna take the broken cap, the one that was welded, that the bore, when I put it on the block, is exactly where we want it to be. It doesn't need to be honed. You know, basically we were just replacing it. We didn't want to use a welded cap. So I'm going to take these 2 caps right now and I'm going to clamp them together. And I'm going to set it up on the Bridgeport, and I'm going to offset my boring bar so I can control it here and just lightly bore this side so I can pick up my diameter here and indicate it in. So to get this to line up good, my clearance for my main holes here, I bored them 0.610, a little under 5/8. I took some steel here and I'm going to turn some pins down, and I'm going to make these pins to fit in here. So when I clamp them together on both sides, they'll be inside there. I can line this up exactly. I know this cap fits exactly on the block where I need it to be. So I'll line these up, clamp it together, and we'll take just a few thousandths out to get this a little closer so we're not putting so much pressure on the honing stones. You know, it's a honing situation. You know, it's not made to remove a ton of material. So if it was within a couple thou, like I originally thought we had it, we would be good, but it's a little more than that. It's about 8 thou off. So I want to clean that up with the boring bar, get it to within about 2 thou, and just let the hone take out as little as possible. So I'm going to go over here to the lathe, and I'm going to turn down. This is just some scrap steel I had laying around, 5/8 diameter. I'm just going to turn this down to 610 and just make some nice guide pins and clamp this together and get the boring head set back up on the Bridgeport. Time consuming, but you know, it's what it takes to repair what you got. Hang tight. Let me turn these down, and we'll go ahead and get this cap fixed to go back on the block. Turning up the second pin. A little light cut into some scrap 4140 I had laying around. Okay, I got my pins turned up here. I'm going to do this. Got to get a phone stand or something. There we go. Nice fit together. Now I'm going to put this in the vise. I'm going to indicate this in. I'm just lightly going to trim that to my exact bore, minus about 2-3 thou, and then we'll put it back on the hone and get it finished up in there. So we're back set up on the Bridgeport. Got it clamped in there at the 2 caps, dialed in. We only got to take off a couple thou, and that's just going to help us so the hone doesn't drag on the upper part of the block. So I want to remove from the cap. When we start removing from the bottom of the block, remember, it's a gear drive, or if you had a chain, you're going to start shortening the distance between the cam and the crank. We don't want to do that. So any material we want to remove off the lower. Let me finish this up here, and we'll put it back on the block, and measure up and see where we're at. You can see how this lightly, I'm just skimming it there where the hone marks are on one side, trying to get it on center. Put it back on, checked it, still got a couple more thou to go. I'm still within, about another 5 thou. I'm going to cut off the lower cap. Luckily we got our drilled and tapped hole because I got a nice snug fit. We definitely need the slide hammer to get the cap off. There we go. All right, back over to the mill. All right, so we got it all torqued back down, back in the line hone again, and this should be our final couple passes to size it in. We're within about 1.5 thou now, and it's it's a tedious process. I mean, it's something you really don't want to rush. I mean, this is the foundation of everything right here, and I want these mains to be dead on, like if I was building a pro stock motor, because it's aluminum block. It's been windowed, it's been repaired, it's seen a whole lot of trauma in its life. So stuff moves around when bombs go off inside these things. So getting everything lined back up and as close as you can get, it's I think really important, especially if you're running on a budget, to try to get all the life we can out of this stuff. So and we're gonna see if you guys are down for it. I hope you'll follow us along the journey of getting this funny car together. It's been a long time coming, and it's just been step by step, piece by piece, and it'll be a fun ride to see what we've taken from the ground up and trying to run with these teams that have unlimited budgets. So they say it can't be done. They tell me the odds are against me. They're probably right, but we're going to give it our best shot. I'm going to put this phone down, and we're going to swipe this a couple more times, check it with our bore mic, and hopefully we'll be ready to go to the next step. Why some Iron Butterfly plays here in the background. Actually, it's not Iron Butterfly, it's Deep Purple. Sweet child of mine. Oh, also, I want to do a quick shout out to my buddy Bill Navs. Yesterday, when we were up at the IHRE race, he hooked me up with a brand new pair of MSD plug wires for our Hemi, for our funny car, and I just wanted to let him know that we really appreciate that. Everything helps, and that's what it's all about. Friends, family, one another, helping each other, and that's great. One less thing. So that's another step in the direction of getting to the track. But run back here and finish honing that block, and we'll be done for today. All right, let's see if I can hold this bore mic and the phone at the same time. Let's see what we got. Look at that, 0. Dead ass. That's what we're looking for. Right there. So that is perfect. We'll check it at the parting line. good at the parting line. Yep, we got it. So that concludes our line hone repair, line bore repair, whatever you want to call it, our cracked cap replacement repair. So the mains are done on this one. Next step, I'm going to pull it out of here. I'm going to mic up that big old dome piston I was showing you the other day. We're going to see what we got there. We're going to put in the cylinder hone. We're going to finish the machine work on this block today, and it'll be ready then to go over there in the jet washer. We got a couple jet washers. I keep one here in the machine shop. I call that my final clean jet washer. That after the block's machine, will go in there that'll be prepped now to start assembling. So before we assemble, we got to check the balance on that crank, because I don't trust anything that came out of this motor. Plus we're changing the piston, so we're definitely going to touch up the balance. So, but as far as machine work on the mains, I appreciate you guys sticking with me. And then ended up being a 2 Sunday process. We made that cap last Saturday rather, and finished it up today. So we're a little closer, but I'm gonna sign off now, and hope you guys have a good work week. And if anything comes up interesting between now and the week, I'll be sure to post up and let you guys keep following along on our quest to go race this funny car. All right, guys, have a good rest of your weekend.